Because of the powerful effects of antibiotics, many doctors and patients consider them a cure-all. Whether the disease itself is caused by bacterial infection or not, antibiotics are often considered. These medications are common in our daily lives, like penicillin, erythromycin, cephalosporins, etc. But as the saying goes, all medicines have side effects. Over-reliance on antibiotics has caused various problems. Now, let's move to part 3 of the book to discuss antibiotic abuse and the resulting health crisis. The clearest example of antibiotic abuse is treating colds. Almost all colds are viral infections. Many people believe antibiotics cured their colds, becoming firm believers in antibiotic effectiveness. But have you ever considered, did antibiotics actually cure the cold? The author argues most colds are actually cured by our immune system. Antibiotics don't affect viruses. They only address secondary bacterial infections like respiratory or lung inflammation. So should we treat colds or not? It depends. There's no one-size-fits-all answer. For young, strong individuals with good immunity, colds typically resolve naturally within a week. But for elderly or children with weaker immunity, close monitoring is essential. Differentiate between common cold versus flu, mild infection versus secondary bacterial infection before treatment. For example, giving antibiotics to elderly with influenza A only delays proper treatment. Since antibiotics can't fight influenza virus, antiviral drugs like Tamiflu should be used promptly. But accurate cold diagnosis is easier said than done. In actual practice, many doctors struggle to make precise distinctions. Determining whether current infections are viral or bacterial, especially in children, requires experienced clinicians. But often, due to limited diagnosis time or fear of malpractice claims, doctors prescribe antibiotics universally. In these cases, antibiotics don't treat colds, but prevent potential complications. Under these circumstances, millions of children receive massive antibiotics for non-existent bacterial infections. In recent decades, antibiotic use in clinical settings has reached staggering levels. Statistics show in 2010, 833 out of every 1,000 U.S. medical prescriptions contained antibiotics, with children under 2 being major consumers. Actually, antibiotics can enter our bodies through another, more insidious way. And in modern industrial farming, thousands of animals live in cramped spaces with antibiotic-laced feed because antibiotics proved miraculous for farming, reducing deaths while accelerating growth and fattening animals. The 3 benefits achieved at once, why wouldn't they do it? In 2011, U.S. animal farming purchased nearly 12.6 million kilograms of antibiotics, creating hidden health risks. Antibiotics accumulate in animals and eventually get transferred to humans through food consumption. This form of abuse is equally detrimental as clinical overuse, both causing health issues. The first major problem is antibiotic abuse accelerating superbug development. Broad-spectrum antibiotics indiscriminately eliminate bacteria, leaving only drug-resistant mutants. These superbugs spread through coughs or sneezes and transfer resistance to other bacteria. Resistance to penicillin, erythromycin, and other antibiotics has been rising for decades. Meanwhile, pharmaceutical companies aren't developing new antibiotics. Under dual pressures, common illnesses become difficult to treat. Take NFL player Brandon Noble, who contracted antibiotic-resistant strep after knee surgery. Despite multiple treatments, his knee couldn't be saved, leaving him unable to walk normally. If superbugs keep increasing, many infections will eventually become untreatable. The second issue is that antibiotic overuse makes us more vulnerable to illnesses. Pathogens are everywhere, but our immune system and microbiome form dual defenses, both weakened by antibiotics. In experiments, normal mice required 100,000 Salmonella bacteria to cause infection, but mice given antibiotics first needed only 3 Salmonella bacteria to get infected. This dramatic difference actually makes perfect sense. When pathogens invade, beneficial bacteria form defensive barriers in our body. They starve pathogens of resources while our immune system eliminates threats proactively. Antibiotic abuse destroys this natural protection system. This also explains modern disease epidemics. Heartburn, asthma, obesity, juvenile diabetes, etc. Take digestive disorders. Many suffer stomach issues in fast-paced modern life. Stomach health relates closely to an ancient bacteria living under gastric mucus, Helicobacter pylori. This bacterium has coexisted with humans for millennia. Science long blamed it for gastritis and ulcers. The 2005 Nobel Prize-honored researchers who established this theory. But the author's 30-year research shows H. pylori isn't purely harmful. Many carriers remain healthy. Eliminating it through antibiotics may cause excessive acid secretion and reflux diseases in adulthood. Antibiotic abuse also correlates with various allergies, especially critical for children. Disrupting microbial balance makes immature immune systems hypersensitive, attacking harmless substances and even body tissues. Beyond digestive disorders and allergies, obesity also links to antibiotic overuse. People usually blame obesity on junk food and lack of exercise. From microbial perspective, early childhood antibiotic exposure significantly promotes obesity. This effect lasts lifelong. Antibiotics alter bacterial colonies, promoting fat accumulation. In 2016, animal studies showed gut bacteria regulate brain centers through secretions, affecting insulin and food intake. Though these theories need verification, the mechanisms remain unclear. But these findings warn us about antibiotic-related health risks. Fortunately, Part 3 extensively discusses antibiotic-related health crises. Despite grim reality, the author remains optimistic about future. Antibiotic abuse spans mere decades, a blink in human history. With proper measures now, we can reverse this trend soon. Now, let's enter the book's final section. How to address antibiotic overuse issues. First recommendation, stop antibiotic misuse. For mild colds, consider waiting 1 to 2 days before demanding antibiotics or IV drips. Truth is, most people recover without medication. But for vulnerable groups like children and elderly, prompt treatment prevents complications. Daily precautions matter. Use plain soap instead of antibacterial products. Skin bacteria communities help fight harmful pathogens. Unless emergency C-section needed, opt for natural childbirth. Vaginal delivery transfers mother's microbiota to baby, establishing lifelong protection. Second recommendation, governments must strengthen antibiotic regulation. First, regarding clinical treatment. The author strongly endorses France's slogan, refuse antibiotics unless absolutely necessary. In 2006, regulatory initiatives by French government agencies significantly reduced antibiotic dependence in hospitals and patients. Second, the author urges governments to outright ban agricultural antibiotic use to reduce accumulation in food or water supplies. Finally, the fundamental solution proposed. Develop more narrow-spectrum antimicrobials. Current broad-spectrum antibiotics attack wide bacterial ranges, causing massive microbiome damage. Targeted antimicrobials could eliminate specific pathogens without collateral damage. But developing narrow-spectrum drugs requires major funding. Corporate R&D leads to unaffordable prices. The author advocates treating narrow-spectrum development as public health infrastructure with national funding. Long-term investment would benefit future generations by solving microbiome destruction. This concludes our exploration of missing microbes. Find show notes below. Join us tomorrow